What is going on, my friends, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Well, in today's video, we are going over Solana as its price does seem to have broken out from the trend line in which we have been stuck within for the last 3 months straight. Now, this video is going to be very short and very quick. I actually do have to leave in about 40 minutes, so I wanted to get this out here just so you all can know what is next, okay? So, of course, I told you guys that we just needed to be on the lookout for the trend break. Once we got the trend break, we could start to really assess the next steps of when we can start to mass accumulate and what are some of the strong confirmations that Solana is looking to make that swing back to the all-time high. Although breaking the trend is important, it is never enough for us to say, okay, well, it's going to start going up right now, right? Because we've seen historically that Solana can break this trend line and still fall back below it, okay? Fall back below it, reestablish it as resistance, and continue down. So what we need to do at this point is give the next two confirmations in which we do need to see in order for us to say, okay, Solana is very likely starting to work its way up, and then we can maybe open up some long trades, go long or accumulate for some of the larger, more macro portfolios in which we do have. So looking at Solana at this given point, what I would like to say is that let's just look for that daily close. It should be relatively soon. It should be within the next hour or so. And if we do get that daily close out here, that is always a great sign, right? If we are capable of establishing a daily close outside the trend line, that's a good sign to say, okay, we've now seen the close out here. The door is now open. If we do see the daily close back down below this trend line, realistically, this was nothing but a fake out, and the likelihood is we are likely going to again push towards the downside of this triangle, in which we're running out of time, right? We're going to need, if we bounce to the bottom side, we're going to need to bounce out pretty soon, okay? But looking at Solana, in the event in which we do see the daily close on the outside of this trend line here, what I would go ahead and say is that we have two more steps. The two next steps are that we need to hold it, of course. If we just tomorrow see the push right back down into this triangle, I mean, none of this really matters. So what we need to make sure is that as we do start to kind of back test it, if you look at the minute charts, I'm sure that's what we're doing right now. Yeah. So what you can see is that we did come out, we broke out of this trend line, and we are looking to hold it, right? So if we are capable of holding it maybe for the next 10 hours or something of that nature, and we do continuously just hold outside of this trend, what we need to be on the lookout for is the clearing of, I would say, $118. Now, some people are going to say that the level we need to clear is 106. Okay, and that's totally okay. The reason why it's one of those two levels is because we need to get back up past the rejective high. What happens is that we break out of these trend lines and we get bounced off of a rejective high. It's kind of similar to what we saw right now. We get rejected and then we get pushed back into the triangle. So what we need to see is that we clear that rejective high to start to mitigate those risks and to start to cancel out the idea that we are going to just get bounced back to the downside. Now, it is also important that we set the new macro high, or a local high, for the point that we need to start an uptrend. And an uptrend is a higher high and a higher low. And while we are still below these regional macro highs, we have not set a new higher high, we've not entered into an uptrend, and we are now just looking to extend out our downtrend, right? And so until the point in which we are capable of getting back above these highs, at 105 or 118, well, realistically, we've not really done anything but just go past the line, okay? Now, the reason that I'm choosing 118 over 105 is due to a few of the other key levels of resistance that sit between those two levels. So for example, if I look at the 50 moving average, it's currently sitting right around $107. Now, historically speaking, we have bounced off of it. Matter of fact, the last time that we did break the trend, we bounced off of the 50 moving average back into the triangle. And so since that level has historically been a key point of rejection to get us back into this triangle, I'd rather not play that game. I would rather wait, okay, boom, are we capable of closing back above that level? And in that event, that kind of starts to mitigate the risk of this happening again, and that starts to look a lot better for our, our odds. It kind of shifts the odds in our direction a little bit. Now, another reason in which I would go ahead and say that is simply for the fact, let's look at the Bollinger Bands here. Well, as we can see, right now, there is an interaction possibly with the top side of our Bollinger Band envelope on the daily charts around $110. Now, what we know is there are times, similar to this one, in which we will bounce straight off of that Bollinger Band and continue to the downside. And so considering the fact that that's another level of resistance that sits in between 105 and 118, I'm preferring to see us wait and get back above 118, see us get that close up there, set that higher high on a macro-based perspective, and then that starts to look much more, in my opinion, like, okay, we are finally seeing a real breakout here. Maybe we need to reset to see that higher low, but we are looking good for continuation, because you never know when we may start to play out some type of inverse head and shoulders here, or a triple top, triple bottom rejection, or something of that nature, and then which which is going to take a little bit more time, and then that's going to take a little bit more thought, okay? So even though things are looking great and Solana is making a fantastic move right now, there are still a few more steps that say, okay, very likely we are working our way up. We are not there just yet, but seeing this daily close outside of this trend line is the first step in order for us to do so, and it does seem as if we are going to be completing that soon. Now, do pay attention to the fact that we are seeing some divergence on the daily charts here, in which we are looking to see possibly what looks like a lower high at any given point, and we've already now set the higher high on the RSI. So if Solana does start to roll anywhere in here, we can be experiencing some type of bearish divergence, and which may push the price into a mode of consolidation, or even a short-term downtrend in which we come back to backtest the trend line as support. So do be aware that it could take a little bit of a bumpy ride in order for us to get back up to some of these levels, especially clearing this $118 level. I do like the fact that on our MACD, we did try to, we did kind of avoid this this convergence here, in which it did look like the MACD was going to roll back into this orange line here, but it did not do so. It established some support and does seem to be continuing back to the top side, and so that is also another great sign. Now, of course, I did post a video 2 days ago in which I went over all of my bullish cases and my bullish scenario for Solana, so definitely do go check that out. But overall today, the biggest focus is getting the daily close above the trend, holding outside the trend, getting back above 118, and from that point forward, I will start to look to accumulate, because I do think that there could be some very strong gains coming pretty soon thereafter. Now, of course, I do all of my trades and my buys in my Patreon, and so if you want to know exactly when I do them and what I'm going to be doing, do go down to the link in the description and go check it out. The month actually starts up tomorrow, but if you do want to get an update on it, maybe possibly a few days afterwards, I will be posting it on my YouTube channel, so you guys are aware of everything I am doing. But with that being said, that is going to be about it for today's short, quick, and sweet update. I hope you guys did enjoy, and I will see you all next time. Peace.